I have a question for you. Are you future proof? Will you be employable in 5 years? Are you ready for the future? Because getting ahead of the curve is very important for survival. And that means that we have to anticipate what's going to happen in the future. But that's tricky because if you look too far ahead in the future, people may think that you're crazy. They may stop inviting you over for dinner or frown when you speak at them. So thinking too far ahead is not always a good thing to do. But you have to be able to think far enough to be more than competent in a world of exponential innovation. And yes, innovation is exponential because it's driven by technology. And one thing that technology has is the law of more running in it. The law of more has shown us for several decades that technology doubles its capacity every 18 months. And that's what's driving innovation. So you have to be able to see what's ahead of us in 2 or 3 years because those changes will be meaningful. A good friend of mine said something really smart recently. He said, a billionaire is essentially a futurist who takes action. And thanks for that one, Roland, because you're so right. That is what makes the difference between those who just theorize about it and those who make it work. I'm not a billionaire, so I can't really tell you how to do it. But, it does pay off to look a bit ahead. Now, what we have to understand is that innovation just keeps on accelerating. Just look at less than 10 years ago, we didn't have the iPhone nor the iPad, and Google gave us Android, the major operating system in phones in the world, and that is only 5 years ago or less even. Look at Facebook, how it exploded to almost 2 billion users. This is the biggest human mobilization ever. And LinkedIn only went global in 2008. And the thing is, the things we can't live without today were even very difficult to envision a decade ago. And technological advances are only going to further accelerate. That's for sure. And like our good old friend Charles Darwin said, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but those who are most responsive to change. And all the pictures you see up there are all technologies that really changed the way we live and work. And it started with the Gutenberg press, it's the steam engine. I'm leaving out the wheel and other major inventions, but these things only have appeared in an accelerating fashion. And is Dr. Fleming the father of medicine? Probably is. The telephone, air travel, everything that has to do with computers and the internet, even mobile phones. When they first appeared, there were always a lot of people calling them fads and saying that they were just meaningless, new, crazy things, and that they wouldn't endure. We have this inherent desire to always embrace the status quo, but time and time again, these things do define who we are. But the thing is, are we less human because we now have medicine, telephones, and the ability to travel anywhere in the world within 24 hours? I guess not. We're still humans, but we evolve. So we're very good at that, and so you should be too. Now let's look at the internet landscape in January 2015. This is what it looks like. And predictably, most of the people online are in places like the US and in Europe and in Australia. But look at the low penetration rates in the developing world. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But first, let's check something out. I love this site. This is a way where you can see the live users of the internet. This site is Internet Stats Live, and as you can see, there are now more than 3.2 billion people online, and look at what rate this is accelerating. The thing is, this number is going to double within 5 years. It's incredible. And if you look at the global internet users, we inherently think that the internet is something from the Western world or from Europe or the US, but wrong again, because look at this. The internet really belongs to Asia, and that's growing very fast. Even Africa has almost 10%, and that's one of the fastest growing continents in the world. So the way you have to look at the internet, it's not something of the West, it's really something of the developing world. And that is where the big opportunity lies. And so those other 3 or 4 billion users that will come online in the next 5 years will be even a bigger human mobilization, something that will define our future. And you have to think about this in your business and in your life. These are billions of new voices and minds. These are digital newcomers that often have a more open-minded relationship with technology than we have, because they're very young and they're coming of age in a world that is already hyper-connected. For them, it's a second nature. I don't even think about whether or not this is important. It just is. And they also operate from a lower cost basis. We know this story. This is nothing new, but it's just only going to be bigger. And many speak English because that's the lingua franca of the internet, but also have their local languages, such as Mandarin and Indonesian. And this is very important because they will be able not only to connect with the world, but also be the gatekeepers to their own markets. The thing is that you have to ask yourself is, how can you benefit from this opportunity rather than become a victim of it? Well, you have to understand the following barriers that you can take advantage of. Well, first of all, we're going to see the breakthrough of instant translation services. This is going to make learning languages pretty much obsolete, because if we can already type in translations into our computer or smartphone, and we already have technologies such as Siri, where we can talk to our phones, these two will come together and we will have instant translation services. So there's not going to be a barrier in language anymore. There's also going to be the rise of electronic currencies. This is currently under the surface, but this is bigger than the internet itself. The blockchain technology will transform not only finance, but the way we can do business together. Because this technology is a superior way of transacting. We can instantly transact, have a credit check embedded, and make sure that who we're dealing with is solvent enough, and also has a logged reputation of being a good counterparty. This is huge. We don't understand yet how that's going to transform the way that we can do business with a stranger on the other side of the world, knowing that they're good for their money. We will also have access to the same information. Online education is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. And that will allow all those billions of new users to get up to speed with us in no time, because all the information is available. And there are some people who are actually making it very easy for these people to learn everything they want to know online. Very big opportunity to capture. But also, if you're not really getting ahead of the curve all the time, they will get ahead of the curve before you do. And so that also means that the tectonic plates of work are shifting. There's a book up there by Taylor Pearson, which I really recommend. It's called The End of Jobs. And it's a very visionary book, and it speaks about the beginning of the end of employment as we know it. You know, technology connects millions of motivated freelancers around the world, especially in the emerging markets. And again, because of the reasons we discussed before, the barriers are coming down. They can effectively work with us, for us, and so on. And even the largest corporations are increasingly shifting to freelancers. If you're in a large corporation, you're seeing this. And in less than 10 years, it wouldn't be a big surprise if we will all be working for ourselves. And that's also a big shift, because